Joining me today is Simone Round. Simone is an ambulant wheelchair user and is going to share her experiences with living with functional neurological disorder, which is abbreviated to FND. So Simone had an active career in hospitality, entertainment, and latterly as a personal trainer and life coach. So what disabilities you have and how they started?
Yes, of course. So I've got a few. I've got a few in my shopping bag, as I always say. But my main one is functional neurological disorder, and I have chronic migraines, menstrual migraines, IBS, and an essential tremor in my right hand, which is where all of my symptoms started for me. And my symptoms have just almost snowballed, as I call it. And I've also got tics, and a stammer, and the an acquired stammer, sorry. And this has all just come kind of 4 years ago for me. So it's still a new thing, a new learning how to live with this condition. And I also have non-epileptic attack disorder as well.
That's quite a lot that you're living with there, and that's all happened in 4 years.
Yes, it has.
Okay, well, maybe we could talk about some of your symptoms. And you said that it started with an essential tremor. Would you mind explaining to me and our audience what is that?
Yes. So I have always worked in the entertainment and fitness industry, and I've always loved the gym. And I was lifting weights in 2018, and I noticed my hand was shaking. And I thought I'd pushed myself too hard in the gym, with the physical exertion. And then I noticed this shaking in my right hand. It didn't stop. And the more tired I was, the more I exerted myself in the gym or working, the tremor in just my right hand exasperated. So I went to the GP, and the GP diagnosed me there and then with essential tremor. Then for me, I know I did try medication. So you have propranolol, beta blockers, things like that to try and curb the essential tremor. But essential tremor will just progress. It's progressive condition, and mine is a postural tremor, which means when I go to reach my arm out is when my tremors are at my worst, or when I go to stand up in a fixed position, my tremors are worse then. And yeah, that for me, that was my first time I've ever heard of essential tremor. So I did my research, and there's a National Tremor Foundation, and I did a few things online with them, and that really helped so you don't feel alone. But then for me, unfortunately, my tremor progressed through my whole body. So I always say I shake like Beyonce, like I'm dancing. And that was when I first had my symptoms of functional neurological disorder. I was diagnosed with FND, which is functional movement disorder. It's under a
Functional movement disorder. Okay, so I haven't
yes,
heard of that one. We have
yes,
covered FND on the podcast before, and we've had some really interesting conversations with Charity and a professor, but FMD, I haven't heard of that. It's always learning
yes.
something new.
Yes, and to be honest, I hadn't really heard of it myself, but because for me, my biggest symptom is the movement element of my body. Whereas FND is a big umbrella on my movement. So functional movement disorder is what my neurologist diagnosed me with at first. And then they wanted to do, with FND, it's conclusive. You'll have all the tests, and if they come back they're fine, is kind of your FND, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's been a long journey for me. I've only just been diagnosed with FND, and that has been 6 months. So, it is an umbrella term, and that's really hard to grasp because I was so confused. I said, well, why have I got FMD and not FND? But it's
Mm,
just purely because my FND is a movement based, so it really affects my movement the
yeah.
most. Yeah,
And then you said you've got tics, which a lot of people might associate that with Tourette's syndrome.
yes. But mine is functional tics, which also comes under the umbrella of FND.
And how do
So
your tics manifest? What do they look like?
it would probably be head flicking. I'll do it. tick and a whistle, which might come out. I know I'm happy for people to hear them, but just be like, hold your ears. And it's
Okay.
when I get quite excited or anxious, to be honest. It's not a constant for me. It is daily. Sorry, I do have them daily, my ticks, but it seems to be when I'm excited.
Okay. Well, I
And
feel like you're not very excited to be here right now.
I am, I promise. When the nerves come in, the excitement like
Yeah.
balances it out. But it is a very strange one because these have only become in the last 2 years. So
Okay.
it's progressed into them, if that makes sense. It
Mm,
feels like a sneeze. That's the best way to describe it. When you sneeze is coming and you can't stop it. That's
yes.
how it is. And it's whatever's on my brain. So I might be ticking dog because I've got a dog, like,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. So there are words as well that come.
Yes, there is for me, yeah. And that sometimes makes I live with my partner and we have a bit of a giggle, but when I laugh, it then makes it come out more.
Oh, I see. I
Yeah.
see. And how
So
long,
it's
out of interest, how long might that last for, the ticking episode?
it can vary, but for me, it's about 5 to 10 minutes. That I'll be going almost, and
Yeah.
then I tend to have a seizure around that time. So obviously, there is different wording for non-epileptic seizures. I'm aware there can be episodes, seizures, or there's a lot of different phrasing for them. But then my speech will go after that. So I get my stammer and then my speech, and it's a bit of like a roller coaster, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it really sounds like it. And what type of seizures do you experience?
So I have vacant seizures where I just stare, and that's how mine first started. I remember being in the kitchen with my mom, and the clock light on your oven. I
Yeah.
remember just staring at it and thinking, "Wow, that's like really fascinating to me." And then that was it. It was like, almost like falling asleep, sort of
Okay.
thing.
So you can
Um,
feel yourself gliding. So you kind of, I'm using the word glide. I'm just throwing it out here. You know what you feel, but is it like you glide into it as opposed to like boom, it's happened and you didn't know it was coming?
I've got a few different seizures that I have. So I have a drop leg seizure. That's when I don't know when it's coming. That literally I'll be stood up, drop, and full body convulse, where your body all convulses. I do have larger seizures where I can feel them building up. Like I might not have some for a while and they'll build up.
Okay.
But these vacant ones, I kind of don't know where they're coming. And I also have ones where I look like I'm falling asleep. Yeah, so they are testing me for narcolepsy, but who knows with
Yes.
this. But I actually saw a consultant that is specialised in NEAD last week. After 3 years of waiting for it, this was my appointment, and she explained that the reason why you have them so frequently, and I don't understand they're coming, is because my brain and mind has made that normal now. So it will shut
Okay.
me down to protect me.
Right.
Um, the brain and mind is very powerful. So I'm still learning. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you've had, and you still do have quite a lot to contend with, but you seem to understand what is happening to you, which must, I guess, help with the journey of acceptance a bit.
absolutely. And that would be for me one of my biggest advice for somebody going through what I'm going through with FND or any functional illness is understanding is key, because knowledge is power. That's what I would say. Obviously, there's so much stuff out there that you could get, bamboozled, but FND Hope, FND Action, they're all brilliant to sort of educate yourself until you then meet that person. Like I've waited 3 years for that appointment, but I'd already kind of
Mm.
because if you're in denial, which I'm sure people are, look, when I first went through it, I think, no, no, this isn't it. It's epilepsy, or you're really trying to fight for yourself. And that's really hard and draining. But I think if you accept and acknowledge where you are in the journey, it's actually been life changing for me. And that's
Yeah.
only been this year that I've done that, to be truthful to you.
Well, you're 31 now, so this all started in your mid-20s when you are bounding around like an excitable puppy, loads of energy. You were telling me when we met before that you worked on the cruise ships as an entertainer. So, and obviously being a PT takes a lot of energy as well. So it must have been very difficult for you to adjust to what was happening to your body?
Yes, I feel like the adjustment, that's something I've battled with. Almost the frustration of why can't I used to train for 10 hours a day. I was
Yeah.
training other people. I'm very, very active, and I've always loved active an active lifestyle and working on cruise ships. You do 70 hours a week with no days off for like 8 months. So I've always worked, I've always pushed myself, probably to my own detriment,
Yes.
looking at it now. But
Yes.
the adjustment, that probably is, you are in denial, and I was in denial, and that's okay to be in denial. But you've
Mm.
almost got to have, I think I've had a switch recently, like, and also saying that I'm disabled, that can be very difficult. And I was 28, my friends are all going out, and I couldn't do that. And I was very social, I love music, I was a DJ, and I couldn't be around that. So like loud sounds, lights, and I still can't. And that's like just a shift in life. And that's been really hard, to be honest.
And what is the effect of being in those environments for you? How will it affect you?
So if I was in, so for me, my triggers for my non-epileptic seizures are lights. I always say life, but that's not fair. So this is what I know so far. Life,
Yes.
if I'm scared, if I'm overly happy,
Yeah.
and loud music is a massive trigger for me. So if I was to put myself in that environment, unfortunately, I'd miss out on everything. I went to see Beyonce with my sister.
Just recently.
No, it was the first time round
Yes.
she did her
Okay.
tour.
Yeah.
And I went in the wheelchair section. And, we'd done it all correctly, and it was amazing. Wore my sunflower lanyard. It was brilliant. As soon as I got in there, she's got a brilliant effects, and that was it for me. I never understood why they put on TV photosensitive flashing
Okay.
lights.
Yeah.
That's a massive trigger for me, and that was it. I just had seizures completely back to back to back to back. We had to leave.
Oh,
So yeah,
oh,
it's a difficult. So for me, I just avoid that now.
yes. Yeah.
It's safer for me until I can, maybe get my NEAD under control or have a little bit of help for it. It's not it's not good for me. I have my sunglasses that are well, my glasses that I wear inside.
Oh,
I like
okay. And that just helps to just sort of dim down the sensory to your
Yes,
pupils.
and I
Okay.
wear earpod, like they're like the loop earpods, just to sort of protect myself a bit as much as I can, because obviously with the migraine, I'm super sensitive to light and sound as well. So yeah, a
Are you
lot to consider.
sensitive to smell?
Yes, I hate my partner's aftershave. Honestly, I'm like, don't put that on, please. Yeah, smelly as yeah, and I've had that since I was 14.
Oh,
So
okay. That's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah, since I started my periods,
Oh,
hormones.
hormones.
Yeah, but I've been able to manage the migraines, and then they've just got worse and worse and daily. And I didn't realise they were daily. I just thought it was normal to have a headache every day.
Yeah,
That is
yeah. Well,
not,
it's not a headache though, is it? It really is. A
no,
migraine is not a headache. That's a
no.
whole
And
different beast.
it is so different. And for me, I thought, oh, I've got zigzag lines. Oh, that's no. I normalised it because I was working so much and pushed through and pushed through. And my neurologist does think that is where my FND has come from being in pain and pushing through. The nerve ending, not that the firing isn't going to work because it's focusing on the pain.
I see. Because the thing is, that's what they say, don't they? Like our body is tries to give us warning signals,
Yeah,
um, in terms of like, okay, this particular area of your body or your brain or whatever is experiencing something, you need to take action. A little bit like a smoke alarm, I guess. It's
yeah,
suddenly giving us little smoke alarms, and if we don't respond, then I guess that's what's happened to you, which is just so hard, isn't it? Because a lot of the advice you hear, especially from like parents, older generations, just push on through. Come on, get a grip of yourself and get to it. But it's not always the right advice.
no. And I do think for me, I am a very motivated person, so I do push through. Even
Mm.
now to this day, like I know with chronic illness and disabilities, hidden disabilities. We talk about pacing and spoons a lot. Well, for me, I still haven't mastered that, and I'm
Okay.
learning. You know, like
Mm,
I'll go and see friends, and then the next day I'm in bed all day.
mm.
Migraine. There's no rhyme or reason, but there is. It's the physical exertion and things like this. Like this podcast, I'll probably need to sleep after. I've had one
Yes.
before. You know, you have to
Yes.
maintain that, but that's hard. I mean, how do you know? Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's
So in
learning.
terms of that, then you can't work now. Like, what is it? What
No.
is a day like for you?
So I will wake up. Well, I'll be woken up by my carer, PA. I have a PA. She'll come and let herself in. She's got a key and gets me out of bed, helps me get washed and dressed. That's on a good day. On a bad day, I'll be in bed. She'll bring my breakfast to me and do my meds, and I probably will stay in bed. Which, I mean, saying that out loud is such like, oh, but, you know, she just stays in bed. That's how it feels to me. I'll just stay in bed. I haven't accomplished anything. Then on a good day, I'll come downstairs with my dog and sit in the garden, do a little bit of deep breathing and mindfulness, and then I try and do a little bit of movement because I think it's so important with anything. But for me, my movement is totally different to what it was before.
Yeah. So
It's
what I mean, obviously you've got to describe this for the purposes of a podcast, but
yes.
what kind of movement do you try to do?
So for me, my movement would be I love YouTube and I pop on a YouTube, it's actually a senior seated dance class.
Okay.
So I'm supported by my chair. I can just do a little bit of movement, and they're usually 10 minutes long. They put some 80s music on, and it's just a bit of fun, but that's my movement. Or I might have I don't know if you ever seen them that you sit that they're little bikes that go on the floor and they're just for your feet. So
Oh, right. Like the pedals.
yeah, just the
Yes.
pedals, and it's relatively cheap, and that is good for me for 10 minutes. I would say my maximum movement is 10 minutes, and going from doing 20 hours or something
Yeah.
crazy before, it has changed. My body's changed, my energy levels have changed, but I'm just grateful and blessed that I can do that little bit of movement because that
Yeah.
is a blessing to be able to do that. It really is.
Well, I guess having your career, it being the personal trainer, etc., like you said, how important movement is because if you don't move, your muscles are going to waste, aren't they? And you're going
Yeah.
to get even more problems that will compound the FND that you're already. So all of the things, so I just switched then, I didn't even finish that word, that you're
Okay.
already experiencing. So all of the things that you have been talking about so far, they come under the umbrella of FND, do they?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah. Apart from for me, I do have mixed urinary incontinence, which that has come later down the line, and we don't know why yet. And IBS, they're my only things that aren't linked to my FND and under that umbrella. Yeah, which I'm having treatment for those. You know, I always say they're things you can treat on paper, you can see them, you can treat.
Mm,
Whereas with FND, it's a shame because I know there's a lot of stigma. I personally haven't experienced it, but I can understand people have. I know people who go through a really hard time and have the stigma of what comes with FND and all those things. So that's why I want to educate people because
can you
you
explain a bit further about the
yeah.
stigma? What your friends are experiencing?
Yes. So because it's not showing up on scans and it's unknown to this day with the like NHS and things like that, it's functional, so we can't see it. Um, there's a lot of stigma. So say if I was to go to A&E with my non-epileptic seizures, nobody really understands what that means and what that is. So, or I might go and say I've got functional movement disorder. They have no idea what that is. Then you're then explaining to somebody and going through it, and you can be meet. My one friend has been met with, "Oh well, there's nothing wrong with you. Go home." And that's really difficult. I luckily my neurologist is brilliant, and he's like, because I've said this has been said to people, and it's the stigma, and he said there is something wrong with you. It's your brain not firing properly, but there's no pathway still for FND. There's treatment options that you can get, but it's like when endometriosis was coming out and there was no pathway. We're still fighting. We're fighting for that, the pathway and the help and things like
Yes.
that. Look, so that's what I would say. You can be met with some silly comments, really.
I think you're too young to remember this, but a couple of decades ago, um, they used to talk about something called yuppie flu. I don't know if you've heard of
I
it.
recognise the name.
Yeah, and I think so. Please correct me if I'm wrong, listeners, but I think that it was kind of related to ME, chronic fatigue syndrome, things that, like you say, that are functional and that you can't sort of pinpoint sort of thing, such as FND as well. It's
Mhm.
yuppie flu, as in like there's nothing really the matter with them. They just want some time off work. It's
Yes,
really easy.
yes, which is such a bad because ME, chronic fatigue and chronic pain syndrome falls under the FND bracket as well, and
Right.
fibromyalgia and things like that. And
Yes.
they're all like we're all part of a secret club,
Yeah.
invisible disability club. I'm
Very
quite
non-visible. However, so that
yes,
was one of the questions I wanted to ask you. So you are an ambulant wheelchair user, right?
yes.
So can you explain to our listeners what ambulant wheelchair user, what does that mean?
So it can be anybody who can walk. You could walk a tiny distance. You could have chronic fatigue where you have a energy limiting illness that you need a wheelchair to get out the house. It's mainly for people who need a wheelchair but can walk as well. So for me, I physically can't walk a lot without shaking like Beyonce. I can walk to the end of the room. So for me, I wouldn't be able to go outside of the house without my wheelchair. It's not possible. Whereas other people could have, say, MS or fibromyalgia, where their pain levels are so high on certain days that they would need a wheelchair for those days. So often people may think, for me, I always think I get out of my wheelchair to go, if I go for a meal, I sit in the chair. And people might think, oh, it's a miracle. It's not. It's just because we can move a little bit, but we don't, I sometimes like to sit in a normal chair when I'm having a meal because it feels different
Yes.
to me. And I could potentially walk to the restroom if the wheelchair toilet isn't available. Whereas I've got my cousin, she's paralysed on her lower legs and she can't walk anywhere. So that is the difference and a simple way of describing it, really.
Yeah, that's lovely. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
okay.
And I think that that would be really helpful for people to understand that just because you've seen somebody using a wheelchair one day, they might not be using it the next day, and that doesn't mean that they were faking it. It means that
Yeah,
that's how their condition and illness and disability is affecting
unfortunately.
them at that particular time. So you have disability can be temporary, it can be permanent, and it can be situational. So it's good for us to talk about those different scenarios so that we can help to inform the wider community, just
Yeah,
so that we can manage our responses when we see people and have that understanding to be
absolutely.
kind and supportive. So you mentioned also about your personal assistant, PA. So how do they support you, and what is the difference between a PA and a carer?
So for me, my PA, she's brilliant. She said she doesn't mind me mentioning her name's Chloe, and I've also got one called Emily. And they will come in the house for me. They will clean. They will help me get ready, help me eat. Well, always make sure I eat, take my medicines, everything like that. The difference for me between the carer and the PA element is a PA can take me outside and they could do my shopping and drop it off. It gives me more freedom to be able to live. Whereas when I had carers, they'd come in 4 times a day for half an hour. They'd come in, there'd be different people. And it'd be half an hour time, get your food, maybe have a wash. And that didn't ideally work for me because as we were just talking about fluctuation in illnesses, my fluctuation is so severe with migraines, I can't get out of bed some days. Whereas with my carers, they were brilliant, but they'd want to get me out of bed and, do the correct thing that they have to on paper, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
Like a tick box exercise. We've got to come in, get her out, out of bed,
Mm.
feed her, wash her. Whereas with my PA carers, there's more flexibility. And with my counsellor, they described it as it's actually an aid for freedom rather than a carer coming in and just coming to see you, because I would have to stay in the house on those days. You can't go out. And for
Mm.
me, being 31, the one thing I want to do, if I can, is go out. It's really simple. I just want to go out for a walk. That's all I ever wanted, but I couldn't do that. So,
Yes.
and they helped me with my shopping. And I'll be honest, having my PA has totally changed mine and my partner's relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's now my partner. He doesn't have to do the shopping. I can be me again in that sense. So I, I,
Mm.
I would advise people, if they feel a little bit trapped with the care at home, it's brilliant if you can. You have to go through a lot of interviews and things to make sure you're eligible for the PA carer, because ultimately, you're paying for somebody else to work and you employ them. So that's something new. I'm an employee, but I have help, because I wouldn't know what day of the week is if not,
Yes.
with the brain
Yes.
fog and everything. So
Yes.
yeah.
So that enables you to really have that independence from your partner, and because I don't know, the stress from, were you with your partner from before you became ill, or did you meet each other since becoming unwell?
I've been with him for 7 years, so we knew each other before. So he's seen it all, the good, the bad, the ugly, and we've moved in recently as well. So April last year, we've got a house which is brilliant. It's accessible for me and fabulous. He's really good, but I don't want him to be my carer nor my mom. I want them to be my family at that
Mm.
time, and it was a lot of stress and pressure. And I think seeing me have seizures and things every day and be in pain, it's not nice for them. And my partner works as well, so
Mm.
yeah, it's just giving us the free, I would say, me the independent, yeah,
Yes.
independence. Even though
Yeah.
I'm with someone all the time, you sometimes feel, you know what I mean, you still, it's nice to have that bond. And she just knows, I understand it. They do my hair, like things I can't do, help me with my makeup. And
Yeah,
that,
well, you do look absolutely
oh,
fabulous.
thank
When you came online, I was thinking, oh God, I'm sure to make more than ever.
that's, I'm not going to lie, that's Chloe. She did my hair. She was a hairdresser, so
She's got skills.
she has, hasn't she?
Yeah.
Carer point.
But I
But
mean,
yeah,
that's all part of it as well, isn't it? Why shouldn't you feel gorgeous? You know, you are gorgeous, and but if the actual physical effort of holding that hairdryer and putting the curling things in your hair is something which is way beyond your capabilities, that's such a shame, isn't it? So it's nice. It's those simple things that just give yourself a little bit of a boost, make you feel, you know,
and
just
do you know what? I never even thought that would be. I never thought blow dry my hair, because I have tremors. It would be so hard, but it's painful. It's
mm,
hard to hold the. Whereas, say for Chloe, able-bodied, it's so quick and easy for her, and
yeah,
and she loves doing it, and it is just something so simple that can change your day and your life. So, I need the help and I have it, and it's brilliant, and it works perfectly for me, the PA role that I've got, instead of, you can do more like girly things and a
yes,
bit more me. I wouldn't even sound that girly, but since becoming disabled, I actually have been tuning into that a bit more.
yeah, yeah,
Because I don't want to look ill. And I know that sounds very weird to say, but if you didn't have makeup on, you would probably see like my eye bags from my migraine that So
yes,
yeah, I like to, like you said, why shouldn't we feel glamorous? Everyone
ex-
really.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. What has it been like for your mental health? This adjustment.
Well, I always say, everyone always says to me, "Oh, you're so positive and you really push through." But I'm going to be so honest. It's taken a lot for my mental health, more for the physical element. There's been, I actually have done talking therapy through the NHS twice. So I did one, and I would advise this to anybody with a chronically ill group, and it completely changed everything for me because I wasn't alone. And we went through the stages. So the stages of with the chronic illness, the where your mental health goes. So you have grief, anger. I've never been angry in my life, but honestly, I've been angry and jealous. And that's not me, honestly. I think,
Yeah.
oh, look at they can go out for a coffee and then they can go to the shop. What? Like in one day?
Yes.
That bit of
Yes.
like, and I don't know. For me, the more why I struggled so much is because it's an alien emotion to me.
Yes.
And they said, they spoke about that, and then you've got grief because of where you thought your life was going. And for me, that is very true. I thought we'd be having children. I thought, and now we don't know where that's going. I've still achieved amazing things, don't get me wrong, but your
Mm.
life is going to look different
Yeah.
inevitably becoming disabled. It is. And also, how the phrase, how long's a piece of string, with your FND and functional things, we don't know the outcome and the prognosis. No one can tell you that. Whereas if you did say, my mum had breast cancer, and she always said we liken them together. She says she had a treatment plan and a prognosis. She
Yes.
said, in a way, that was easier for her because she knew where she was going. Whereas then she said, with her watching me, she's as confused as I am, and we don't know how long is the piece of string. And
Mm.
so that's taken my mental health a turn because I'm like, well, if it came this quick, I could wake up and it could go this quick. Like what my partner's favourite phrase that is. And then I think sometimes I get frustrated with other people's comments, which I'm sure everybody in the disability
Mm.
community do. And I would never ever been angry like that.
Mm.
The world isn't really accessible, and I've learned that. And I've got so much admiration for people in wheelchairs, walking sticks, everything, because you are battling just to go outside. Yeah. And that for me is incredible. And my mental health has improved now, I would say. I've had therapy one to one again through the NHS because I physically couldn't afford to pay for it myself, and it is really good. I would recommend it. And I'm a mindfulness coach and a life coach, believe it or not.
Yes.
And
So that
that's what,
mindfulness coaching, have you done that since becoming unwell? Is that something you've added to your
yes,
repertoire of
I
skills?
was qualified before. So I qualified in 2022 as I got ill. I thought, is this a sign? No, I'm joking. But I I've really found it useful in this time. A lot of things I've learned, but I still, I do the odd little Zoom for my old clients, voluntary if I can get the energy, and that
Yeah.
makes me feel good. But it is like it's hard. I don't know. It's hard to when you're in a low place and your mental health's taking a hit to then do your mindfulness.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think you've got to just give yourself a little bit of grace. And I never did that. I thought, come on, get up, do your mindfulness, get up, do your yoga, or if you can. Oh, it doesn't work
Yeah.
that way, does it? Not when you're not feeling. Brushing your teeth is hard when you're one disabled, and then also your mental health taking a dip. But I
Mm.
am grateful of of coming out the other end, which I'm really proud of myself for. Really, yeah.
Good, good. And it sounds like you're a very honest person. You're honest with yourself about how you feel and the impact that it's had, and like recognizing your emotions, and to be proud of yourself as well. Like
Yeah,
you just made a comment about brushing your teeth on certain days is something that's really difficult to do, and to be proud that you have managed to brush your teeth, which I'm sure if you'd had that sentence said 10
oh,
years ago, you would have been like, what on earth are you talking about? It's not hard.
yes, yes. But
Um,
it is the simple, really is the simple things. And that's one thing. Yes, this has been a terrible time for me in learning how to deal with this. But actually, I've learned so much, and it's a positive. It's given me a positive spin on life. All the things that when I was a PT, I used to think your body was the most important thing. How you looked, all these, none of that matters. Well, to me, none of that matters anymore. It matters if I can get up, have a lovely cup of coffee in the garden. That is a brilliant day for me. That bit of sunshine. What could go wrong, That's perfect.
and I bet in terms of mindfulness, I bet you. really savor every sip of the coffee and taste the bean and all of that, don't you? And when you're sat in the garden, you're really conscious of if there's birds or if there's a car or looking at the plants and the things that in a busy lifestyle where you're not battling pain and chronic illness, you are operating so quickly, you're not taking in any of those things. You're gulping down your drink. You haven't got time to sit in the garden, or you're planting your plants, but you haven't got time to watch them grow or anything like that. Or you think you haven't got time. Well, actually, probably we all need to be like, whoa, whoa, whoa,
Yeah.
just slow down a minute. Appreciate
Yeah.
what you've got around you and connect to
And
natural environment.
nature, for me, I always say the most simplest thing for mindfulness. We often think we've got to sit down and like almost meditate, and that's like a common misconception. If you're on a walk, whether you're rushing to the office or anything, just take your time and try and notice three new things that you've never noticed before around you. That is such a simple exercise that you can see. And then, like you said, for me, I've everyone with migraines and coffee and things like that, but I've honestly really got into decaf, Nespresso, and I'm like a connoisseur. It's like the best thing ever. But that is so simple, but I really enjoy, as you just said, every sip and every conversation I managed to have with someone. That's like enlightening because I don't really talk to people or those
Yes.
things. That's if you could just take away from one thing is do notice three things around you in when you're on a walk or even just sat down because life can get so overwhelming and so too much, can't it? We all
Yeah.
feel like that sometimes, and that's just a little bit of mindfulness in that you can do anywhere at any time when you feel
Free.
well.
Doesn't cost
Yeah,
anything, guys.
that's
It's
it.
free.
It's free. Yeah.
What are your thoughts about the sunflower?
The sunflower for me is incredible because it makes the invisible disabilities visible. And that is something that is just incredible because you also get to see it's almost like you're in a secret club, I always say. You're in a secret club, but you don't have to physically tell somebody what is wrong with you. They don't need to know your diagnosis. They see you have the lanyard on, you need a little bit of help, you might need a little bit of space. And I think it's just like a gentle nod to make an invisible disability visible. And it's optional. You don't have to, it's not mandatory. People who are wearing it understand that they want that extra help and they might need a little bit of space. I think that what a brilliant tool to bring that to light. Yeah, I would say it's like a secret community, isn't it? The Sunflower Club. Like
Yes.
and if you see people wearing it, you I almost do a little smile to myself. I'm like part of the Sunflower Lounge, like the
A
Lanyard Club.
community.
That's exactly what it is, a community, and you don't feel alone because you see it everywhere. And like for me personally, I use it around travel because obviously I am in a wheelchair, so you can see my disability that is visible, but you can't see the other things that I might need a quiet room, a dark space, and things like that. And that's on my lanyard. So if I was to potentially be on my own, if my mum popped to the toilet or my partner, if I was to have a seizure, somebody could pick up that lanyard and go, I'm going to get her to a safe space, a quiet, dark room. And that is incredible. Like, I don't have to say anything, I almost, with my seizures, I do lose my hearing and everything. So that's really good. Like, if somebody could potentially help keep me and make my seizures better, and that's just from wearing a lanyard, that is incredible, isn't it? Yeah.
And does it give you confidence then, so that when you're in a space, and you just described if your partner or your mum has to go to the toilet, go and pick up something from the, I don't know, the check-in desk, whatever, and they have to just be away from you for that whatever period of time, would you say that it improved your confidence? Does it reduce the fear?
The fear is definitely not the fear for me because it's scary and I know it can look scary to other people. And if I've only I had my lanyard. I first went on holiday and that's when I got it for my holiday, and it was in a different country that actually I noticed it was Spain, and they noticed I had it on, and I was ticking, and they almost just knew that I don't know how to describe it, that just to take a little bit of care with me, they almost just knew. And to me, that's, half the battle with invisible disabilities and things like that is actually having people see it and people understand that, okay, I need a bit of help, same with autism, ADHD, anything like that. We just need a little bit of help. And for me, that's what it did. It makes me feel, it actually makes me be able to be on my own. And that is very rare. I'm never on my own, you know what I mean? Like, I always have someone sat nearby and things like that. So that is brilliant. Like, yeah, freedom again.
Do you have any advice for anyone who's facing similar diagnosis and health path as you, Simone?
Yes, so it's taken me a while to get this way, but I would definitely say, unfortunately, you have to be your own advocate, and that's something that is really hard when you're going through such a scary illness, and it can progress, manifest, and like snowball out of control. Like, I have every symptom going, and that is scary. Every time a new symptom comes, it's scary. My biggest advice is write all your symptoms down, keep the dates that you have them, use your options and your free resources. So self-refer to rehab, as in rehabilitation for therapy, physiotherapy. You can self-refer most through the NHS. I did. Then you can self-refer for NHS therapy, or there's loads of stuff online. A bit of mindfulness, seated like yoga, those sort of things. FND Hope offer as well. Use your resources until you're waiting for that, I'll call it, big appointment, because I've seen my neurologist 3 times and that's it in the time, and I've only just started going to a treatment centre. So my biggest advice is keep a log of your symptoms, speak to your GP. Most of them are understanding. Ring them when you have a new symptom and just write it all down, and then use your free resources like FND Hope, all those things. Listen to podcasts about it, those free resources until you get that help and things like that. That's my biggest advice. Yeah.
And if anybody's interested in the personal assistant, what channels do they have to go through to try and apply for that?
So you would have to speak to an occupational therapist, which again you can actually self-refer. In my area, I'm not sure. I'm in the Midlands. I'm not sure if you can do that everywhere. You can sell, or your GP can recommend you to an occupational therapist. Then occupational therapist will get in contact with your council. So for me, it's Dudley Council, and then they'll go from there. They'll assess you. It is quite like draining with you symptoms. So just prepare, write it all down, have a person with you, write what your needs are, and then they'll be able to point you in the right direction and see if you qualify for a PA or a carer.
That's fantastic. Thanks so much. And
No,
I
thank
am really grateful because, I know that you're going to have a come down from this now,
you.
but
Yeah.
just know that this recording will be listened by people maybe starting on their journey with FND, somebody who's never heard of it before. Maybe it might be a partner, a mother, a child of somebody who has it, or somebody who's just actually trying to improve their their knowledge of disability and FND so that they can be a great ally. So, on behalf of everyone, thank you so much, Simone. I really
Thank
appreciate your
you.
time.
Thank you so much for having me, and I hope you all enjoyed listening.